The vast emptiness of space suddenly came alive with a burst of blinding light. Hundreds of massive alien ships emerged from hyperspace, their sleek forms gleaming under the distant sun. Earth's orbit, once peaceful, now buzzed with activity as the alien armada took position. On the bridge of the lead ship, Admiral Zixthar of the Galactic Confederation stretched his 6 tentacles and fixed his compound eyes on the blue planet below. His mandibles clicked in amusement as he observed the pitiful human defenses. "Is this all they have?" Zixthar chuckled, his translator converting the sound into a series of high-pitched beats. "A handful of tin cans floating in space. This conquest will be easier than taking treats from a hatchling." His second-in-command, Sub-Admiral Krall, zoomed in on the Earth's orbital defenses. The human fleet consisted of just 10 ships, each no larger than a Confederation scout vessel. Krall's exoskeleton rippled with mirth. "Perhaps they wish to surrender without a fight, Admiral," Krall suggested, his own laughter causing his antennae to twitch. "Shall we hail them and accept their submission?" Zixthar waved a tentacle dismissively. "Let them stew in fear for a while. We'll give them time to realize the hopelessness of their situation." Meanwhile, on Earth, chaos reigned supreme. In the United Nations emergency bunker deep beneath New York City, world leaders gathered in a frenzy of panic and disbelief. "How did they get past our early warning systems?" demanded the U.S. President, her face pale with shock. "They didn't," replied General Zhang of China, his usual stoic demeanor cracking under the strain. "Our systems detected them the moment they arrived, but we have nothing that can match their technology or numbers." The room erupted into a cacophony of shouted questions and accusations. Some leaders called for immediate surrender, while others insisted on fighting to the last human. In the midst of the chaos, a calm voice cut through the noise. "If I may have your attention, please." All eyes turned to the speaker, a petite woman with steel-gray hair and piercing blue eyes. Admiral Sarah Chen, commander of Earth's Space Forces, stood at the center of the room, her presence commanding respect despite her small stature. "Ladies and gentlemen," Chen began, her voice steady and confident, "I understand your fear, but I assure you, all is not lost. In fact, we may be in a better position than you realize." Skeptical murmurs rippled through the room, but Chen continued undeterred. "For years, we've been preparing for this day. While our visible fleet may seem small, it's merely the tip of the iceberg. Each of our ships carries technology that will turn the tide of this battle." The UN Secretary-General leaned forward, hope flickering in his eyes. "What kind of technology, Admiral? And why haven't we been informed of this before?" Chen's lips curved into a small smile. "For the sake of security, this information was shared on a need-to-know basis. But now, you all need to know." She tapped a button on her wrist device, and a holographic display flickered to life in the center of the room. "Ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce you to Dr. Akira Tanaka, the brilliant mind behind our secret weapon." The hologram showed a disheveled man in his late 50s, wild hair sticking out in all directions, and thick glasses perched precariously on his nose. Despite his appearance, Dr. Tanaka's eyes sparkled with intelligence and excitement. "Greetings, world leaders," Tanaka said, his enthusiasm palpable even through the hologram. "What you're about to see will change the course of this conflict and secure humanity's place among the stars." As Tanaka launched into his explanation, the mood in the room began to shift. Fear gave way to amazement, then to hope, and finally to determination. By the time the scientist finished his presentation, the world leaders were sitting straighter in their chairs, a new resolve evident in their faces. The U.S. President stood up, her earlier panic replaced by steely determination. "Admiral Chen, Dr. Tanaka, you have given us hope when we thought all was lost. What do you need from us to ensure victory?" Chen's eyes gleamed with the fire of impending battle. "Give me full authority over our fleet and ground defenses, and most importantly, buy us time. We need to let the aliens think they have the upper hand for just a little longer." As the leaders nodded in agreement, Chen allowed herself a small, grim smile. The aliens thought they were dealing with a primitive, defenseless species. They were about to learn just how dangerous humanity could be when backed into a corner. High above the Earth, Admiral Zixthar prepared to address the humans, confident in his impending victory. Little did he know, the tiny fleet he had laughed at was about to become his worst nightmare. Admiral Sarah Chen stood in the command center of Orbital Defense Station Alpha, her eyes fixed on the massive holographic display showing the alien fleet. Despite the overwhelming odds, a small smile played on her lips. She had trained for this moment her entire life. "Status report," Chen barked, her voice crisp and authoritative. A young lieutenant snapped to attention. "All systems are go, Admiral. Our 10 ships are in position, and ground defenses are at maximum readiness." Chen nodded, her mind already racing through potential strategies. "And our special package. Dr. Tanaka reports that all units are primed and ready, ma'am." As if summoned by his name, the eccentric scientist burst into the command center, his lab coat flapping behind him like a cape. "Admiral Chen, I've made a breakthrough," Dr. Akira Tanaka exclaimed, his eyes wild with excitement behind his thick glasses. Chen raised an eyebrow. "Dr. Tanaka, I thought I told you to remain in the lab." Yes, but this couldn't wait." Tanaka waved a tablet in the air. "I've improved the nanobot swarm's efficiency by 27%. They'll be able to infiltrate the alien systems even faster now." A murmur of excitement rippled through the command center. Chen allowed herself a moment of hope before returning to her stern demeanor. "Excellent work, Doctor. But remember, timing is crucial. We can't reveal our hand too soon." Tanaka nodded vigorously, nearly dislodging his glasses. Of course, but just imagine it, Admiral. Billions of nanobots, each smaller than a grain of dust, swarming through the alien ships like an invisible army. Chen placed a calming hand on the scientist's shoulder. "I can imagine it, Doctor. And soon, the aliens will experience it firsthand." Suddenly, alarms blared throughout the station. The lieutenant's voice rang out. "Admiral, the alien fleet is hailing us." Chen straightened her uniform. "Put them through." The holographic display flickered, and the image of Admiral Zixthar appeared. His alien features twisted into what might have been a smug grin. "Greetings, humans," Zixthar's translator beeped. "I am Admiral Zixthar of the Galactic Confederation. Your planet is now under our control. Surrender immediately, and we may show mercy." Chen stepped forward, her face a mask of calm defiance. "This is Admiral Sarah Chen of Earth's Defense Forces. We do not recognize your authority, and we will not surrender." Zixthar's compound eyes seemed to glitter with amusement. "Admirable bravery, but foolish. Your pathetic fleet is no match for our armada. Why sacrifice lives in a hopeless battle?" "Perhaps things are not as hopeless as they seem," Chen replied cryptically. The alien admiral's mandibles clicked in what might have been laughter. "Very well. You've made your choice. Prepare to witness the might of the Galactic Confederation." As the transmission cut off, Chen turned to her crew. "This is it, people. Remember your training. Remember what we're fighting for." Dr. Tanaka bounced on his heels, barely containing his excitement. "Admiral, shall I prepare the nanobot swarms for deployment?" Chen nodded. "Do it, Doctor. But remember, we need to wait for the right moment. Let them think they've won before we strike." As Tanaka scurried off to his lab, Chen addressed her fleet. "All ships, assume defensive positions. Do not, I repeat, do not engage unless directly fired upon. Let them make the first move." The tension in the command center was palpable as everyone watched the alien fleet on the display. Massive ships began to move into attack formation, their weapons systems powering up. Chen's mind raced through countless scenarios, each muscle in her body tense and ready for action. She had trained her whole life for this moment, but the fate of humanity had never felt so heavy on her shoulders. Beside her, a young ensign whispered, Do you think we can really win this, Admiral? Chen turned to the ensign, her eyes blazing with determination. Win? Young man, we're going to do more than win. We're going to show these aliens why you should never, ever underestimate humanity. As if on cue, the first alien shots blazed across space, streaking towards Earth's meager defenses. Chen's voice rang out, clear and confident. All ships, evasive maneuvers. Operation Trojan Horse is now in effect. May God have mercy on their souls, because our nanobots won't. And with that, the battle for Earth's future began in earnest. The aliens, still laughing at the tiny human fleet, had no idea that their greatest threat was already among them, invisible and unstoppable. In his lab, Dr. Tanaka initiated the nanobot swarms with a maniacal grin. "Showtime, my little warriors," he whispered. "Let's teach these aliens a lesson they'll never forget." The vastness of space erupted into a dazzling light show as the alien armada opened fire. Massive energy beams sliced through the darkness, hurtling towards Earth's seemingly insignificant fleet. In the command center, Admiral Chen's voice rang out clear and steady. Evasive maneuvers. Now. The 10 human ships moved with unexpected agility, dancing between the deadly beams. Surprise rippled through the alien fleet as their initial salvo missed its mark entirely. On the bridge of his flagship, Admiral Zixthar's mandibles clicked in irritation. Impossible. How are those primitive vessels avoiding our weapons? His second-in-command, Kral, studied the tactical display with growing concern. "Sir, the human ships appear to be more advanced than our intelligence suggested." Zixthar waved a tentacle dismissively. "A minor setback. Intensify the barrage. They cannot evade forever." Back on Earth, Dr. Akira Tanaka hunched over his control panel, his fingers flying across the holographic interface. Sweat beaded on his forehead as he made last-minute adjustments to his life's work. "Come on, my little ones," he muttered, eyes fixed on the scrolling data. "Show them what you can do." Admiral Chen's voice crackled over the intercom. "Dr. Tanaka, status report." Tanaka hit a final sequence of buttons before responding. "All systems green, Admiral. The nanobot swarms are primed and ready for deployment." Chen allowed herself a small smile. "Excellent. All ships, initiate Phase 2 of Operation Trojan Horse." In space, the human fleet suddenly changed formation. Instead of evading, they now charged directly at the alien armada, looking for all the world like they were on a suicide run. Admiral Zixthar watched in disbelief. Have they gone mad? Prepare to obliterate them. But before the alien weapons could fire, the human ships did something unexpected. They burst apart, each vessel splitting into thousands of smaller units. Krell's exoskeleton paled. "Sir, those aren't debris. They're nanobots," Zixthar finished, his voice barely a whisper. Billions upon billions of microscopic robots swarmed towards the alien fleet, each one carrying a fragment of Dr. Tanaka's revolutionary technology. In his lab, Tanaka pumped his fist in the air. "Yes. Go, my beautiful creations." The nanobots infiltrated the alien ships through every possible entry point. Weapon ports, ventilation systems, even the microscopic gaps between hull plates. Once inside, they began their work. Aboard the alien vessels, chaos erupted. Systems malfunctioned, weapons powered down, and control interfaces flickered with indecipherable human code. "What's happening?" Zixthar demanded, his composure crumbling as his own ship began to betray him. Krell frantically worked at his console, all 6 limbs moving in a blur. "It's some kind of invasive technology. It's rewriting our systems faster than we can purge it." In the Earth's command center, Admiral Chen watched the unfolding scene with grim satisfaction. "Dr. Tanaka, would you care to explain to our alien friends exactly what's happening to them?" Tanaka nodded eagerly, and Chen opened a channel to the entire alien fleet. The scientist's face appeared on every still-functioning screen in the armada. His wild hair and crooked glasses did nothing to diminish the intensity of his gaze. "Greetings, Galactic Confederation. Tanaka began, barely suppressing a manic grin. I hope you're enjoying this demonstration of humanity's nanobot swarm technology. He launched into an explanation, his excitement palpable. Each nanobot is a miracle of engineering, capable of interfacing with and rewriting any known computer system. And you've just been infected by billions of them. Zixthar's alien features contorted in a mix of rage and fear. This is impossible. No species at your level of development could create such technology. Tanaka's grin widened. That's where you're wrong, my tentacled friend. Humanity has achieved this and so much more. Those tiny ships you laughed at, they were just carriers for our real weapon. As if to punctuate his words, more systems across the alien fleet went dark. Weapons, engines, life support, all fell under the control of the human nanobots. Admiral Chen stepped into view, her posture radiating authority. Admiral Zixthar, your fleet is now under our control. Your options are simple. Surrender unconditionally, or we'll be forced to demonstrate just how thoroughly we can disable your ships. In the stunned silence that followed, Tanaka couldn't resist adding, and maybe next time, you'll think twice before underestimating the primitive humans. As the reality of their situation sank in, the alien fleet hung motionless in space, their mighty armada rendered impotent by an enemy they had gravely underestimated. The battle for Earth was far from over, but in this moment, humanity had proven that size isn't everything. Sometimes, the smallest weapons can turn the tide of an entire war. The silence that followed Admiral Chen's ultimatum was deafening. In the vast expanse of space, the once mighty alien armada hung motionless, their systems compromised by billions of human nanobots. Admiral Zixthar's compound eyes darted frantically between his malfunctioning controls and the image of the human leaders on his flickering viewscreen. His mandibles clicked rapidly, a sign of extreme agitation in his species. This is unacceptable. Zixthar finally sputtered, his translator struggling to convey his mix of rage and disbelief. We are the Galactic Confederation. We do not surrender to primitive species. Admiral Chen's expression remained impassive. Your position is hardly one to make demands, Admiral Zixthar. Perhaps a demonstration is in order. She turned slightly. Dr. Tanaka, if you would. The eccentric scientist grinned widely. With pleasure, Admiral. His fingers danced across his control panel. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Suddenly, on the far edge of the alien fleet, one of the smaller ships began to move. Its engines fired up, turning the vessel until it faced its own armada. Zixthar's eyes widened in horror. What are you doing? Showing you the extent of our control, Chen replied calmly. That ship is now fully under our command. We can do this with any, or all, of your vessels. As if to prove her point, the commandeered alien ship fired a warning shot, the energy beam passing harmlessly between two larger vessels, but demonstrating the very real threat. Panic erupted across the alien fleet. Ships began to move erratically as their crews desperately tried to regain control. Some vessels fired blindly into space, their weapons systems going haywire under the influence of the nanobots. In the Earth's command center, a junior officer approached Chen. Admiral, we're detecting power surges in several alien ships. I think they're trying to overload their systems to destroy the nanobots. Dr. Tanaka scoffed. Ha! As if we hadn't prepared for that. My nanobots are drawing power from the ships themselves. The more they try to overload, the stronger our control becomes. Chen nodded, then turned back to the communication screen. Admiral Zixthar, cease these futile efforts immediately. You're only endangering your own crews. Zixthar's alien features contorted in what might have been a sneer. You think you've won, humans. You forget, we still have ground forces ready to deploy. Your nanobots can't infect our troops. A small smile played on Chen's lips. Are you sure about that, Admiral? At that moment, alarms blared across the alien fleet. Zixthar turned to his second-in-command. Krell, what's happening now? Krell's limbs worked furiously over his partially functioning console. "Sir, the landing crafts. They're launching." "But we didn't give the order." Chen's voice cut through their confusion. "As we spoke, Admiral, we've been preparing your ground invasion for you. Let's see how your troops fare when their dropships are under our control." Hundreds of alien landing craft descended towards Earth, their paths controlled not by the Galactic Confederation, but by Dr. Tanaka's nanobots. Instead of strategic military targets, they were being redirected to open fields, empty deserts, and even the middle of oceans. In his lab, Tanaka cackled with glee. "Look at them go. It's like the world's biggest remote control toy show." Admiral Chen allowed herself a small chuckle before composing herself. "Admiral Zixthar, let me be clear. We control your ships. We control your landing craft. We even control the life support systems keeping you and your crews alive right now. Your invasion has failed before it even began." Zixthar slumped in his command chair, the fight visibly draining out of him. "How?" he asked, his voice barely a whisper. "How did we not know you possessed such technology?" "You made a classic mistake," Chen replied. "You judged us by your standards, by what you could see. You never considered that our greatest strength might be invisible to your eyes." She leaned forward, her gaze intense. "This is your final chance, Admiral. Surrender now, unconditionally, or we will be forced to take more drastic measures." The alien admiral looked around his bridge, at his crew who now turned to him with a mix of fear and desperate hope. In that moment, Zixthar realized that his next words would determine the fate of not just this invasion, but possibly his entire civilization. As the tensions reached their peak, the galaxy held its breath, waiting to see how this unprecedented first contact would end. Would it be with more bloodshed, or with the dawn of a new era of interstellar relations? The next move was Zixthar's, and the consequences would echo across the stars for generations to come. Admiral Zixthar's 6 tentacles trembled as he faced the most difficult decision of his long military career. The bridge of his once mighty flagship was eerily quiet, save for the occasional beep of malfunctioning consoles. Every eye stalk in the room was fixed on him, waiting. Finally, Zixthar spoke, his voice heavy with defeat. "Admiral Chen, on behalf of the Galactic Confederation fleet, I surrender." A collective gasp rippled through both the alien and human forces. On Earth, cheers erupted in the command center, but Admiral Sarah Chen remained focused, her expression stern. "A wise decision, Admiral Zixthar," Chen responded. "Now order your remaining functional ships to power down all weapons. Any vessel that doesn't comply will be assumed hostile and dealt with accordingly." As Zixthar reluctantly gave the order, Dr. Tanaka bounced excitedly next to Chen. "We did it. We actually did it," he exclaimed, his glasses askew. "Should I make the nanobots do a victory dance? I programmed a little routine, just in case." "Not now, Doctor," Chen cut him off, though a small smile tugged at her lips. "We're not out of the woods yet." Indeed, while most of the alien fleet was powering down, a few ships remained active. Chen's eyes narrowed as she studied the tactical display. "Admiral Zixthar, explain." The alien commander's skin flushed a deep purple. "Rogue elements, Admiral Chen. Not everyone agrees with my decision." As if to punctuate his words, 3 alien destroyers suddenly broke formation, their engines flaring as they made a desperate push towards Earth. Chen's voice rang out, sharp and clear. "All units, execute Operation Chimera. Doctor, activate Phase 2 of the nanobot protocol." The response was immediate and awe-inspiring. The human ships, previously hanging back, now sprang into action. But they weren't alone. Alongside them, several of the alien vessels moved to intercept their rogue comrades, now under complete human control. In space, a spectacular battle unfolded. Human ingenuity faced off against alien desperation. Energy beams crisscrossed the void, while swarms of nanobots created shimmering, ever-shifting shields around the human-controlled ships. Dr. Tanaka's fingers flew over his console, his earlier jubilation replaced by intense concentration. Adapting nanobot configurations to alien weapon frequencies, he muttered. Redirecting power flow. Optimizing shield geometry. On the main view screen, one of the rogue alien ships suddenly went dark, its systems completely overwhelmed by a fresh wave of nanobots. The second soon followed, spinning helplessly in space. The third, however, managed to slip through the defensive line. It hurtled towards Earth, weapons hot. It's heading for Beijing. Someone shouted. Chen's mind raced through options. Doctor, can we stop it? Tanaka shook his head, sweat beading on his forehead. Not enough bots on board. We'd need tow. His eyes suddenly widened. Wait. Admiral, remember the orbital defense platforms? Understanding dawned on Chen's face. The ones we said were merely for show. Doctor, you're a genius. Lieutenant, activate ODP-5. High above the Earth, a seemingly innocuous satellite suddenly came to life. Panels slid open, revealing a massive energy cannon. It swiveled with impossible speed, locked onto the approaching alien ship, and fired. A blinding beam of light lanced out, catching the alien vessel square in its bow. For a moment, the ship's own forward momentum continued to carry it forward. Then, with a silent flash visible even from the ground, it disintegrated. In the command center, a stunned silence fell, broken only by Dr. Tanaka's whispered, "Wow." Admiral Chen allowed herself a deep breath before turning back to the main communication screen. Admiral Zixthar, let me be clear. What you've seen today is only a fraction of humanity's defensive capabilities. We have no desire for further conflict, but we will not hesitate to use every tool at our disposal to protect our world. Do you understand? The alien commander nodded slowly, his earlier arrogance completely evaporated. I understand, Admiral Chen. And I suspect the Galactic Confederation has much to learn about humanity. Chen's posture relaxed slightly. Perhaps we all have much to learn about each other, Admiral. This could be the beginning of a new era of interstellar cooperation, or conflict. The choice, largely, is yours. As the gravity of the situation settled over both humans and aliens alike, one thing became crystal clear. The galaxy would never be the same again. Humanity had arrived on the cosmic stage, and they had made one hell of an entrance. News of humanity's astonishing victory spread across the galaxy at the speed of light. Countless alien civilizations watched in awe as recordings of the battle were transmitted through the vast network of interstellar communication relays. On a distant planet, in the heart of the Galactic Confederation's capital, the Grand Council convened an emergency session. The massive chamber buzzed with a cacophony of alien languages as representatives from 1,000 worlds tried to make sense of the unprecedented events. High Counselor Xyra, a towering being of pure energy, called for order. Her booming voice echoed through the chamber, instantly silencing the crowd. Fellow council members, Xyra began, her form flickering with barely contained emotion. We face a crisis unlike any in our history. A species we deemed primitive has not only repelled our invasion force, but has demonstrated technology that rivals or even surpasses our own. Murmurs rippled through the assembly. A reptilian delegate rose, scales shimmering under the chamber's lights. Surely this is some sort of trick. No species could advance so quickly without our notice. I assure you, Delegate Slerith, this is no trick. Xyra responded. Our own data cores confirm the humans' capabilities. Their nanobot swarms and energy weapons are unlike anything in our records. In a corner of the chamber, a small, unassuming alien observed the proceedings with keen interest. Zix, the representative of a race known for its diplomacy, saw an opportunity where others saw only threat. Meanwhile, back on Earth, humanity was coming to terms with its new reality. News channels across the globe broadcast non-stop coverage of the alien surrender and its aftermath. Streets in every major city were filled with celebrating crowds, their joy tinged with a newfound sense of cosmic awareness. In the White House Situation Room, Admiral Sarah Chen briefed world leaders on the current status. The alien fleet remains in Earth orbit, powered down and under our control, she reported. Admiral Zixthar has been cooperating fully, providing us with valuable information about the Galactic Confederation. The Chinese premier leaned forward, her expression serious. And what have we learned about this confederation, Admiral? Chen nodded to Dr. Tanaka, who stepped up, tablet in hand. It's fascinating, the scientist exclaimed, his earlier exhaustion forgotten in the face of new knowledge. The Confederation spans thousands of light years and includes over 1,000 sentient species. They've had faster-than-light travel for millennia, but their technological progress has been largely stagnant for centuries. Which explains why they underestimated us so severely, Chen added. They couldn't conceive of a species advancing as rapidly as we have. The U.S. president frowned. So what happens now? Are we looking at a larger invasion force? Before Chen could respond, a junior officer burst into the room. Admirals, sirs, mimes, we're receiving a transmission from the Galactic Confederation capital. All eyes turned to the large screen at the front of the room as it flickered to life. The image of High Counselor Xyra appeared, her energy form casting an ethereal glow. People of Earth, Xyra began, her tone formal but not unkind. I am High Counselor Xyra of the Galactic Confederation. On behalf of the Grand Council, I extend our sincerest apologies for the unwarranted aggression against your world. A collective gasp went through the room. Chen and Tanaka exchanged surprised glances. Xyra continued, your response to our invasion has demonstrated that humanity is a force to be reckoned with in the galaxy. We have grievously misjudged your species, and we wish to make amends. The energy being's form pulsed brightly. Therefore, we extend an invitation to Earth. Join the Galactic Confederation, not as a subjugated world, but as a full member with all rights and privileges therein. The Situation Room erupted into a flurry of excited whispers. Chen raised her hand for silence, her mind racing with the implications of this offer. High Counselor, she responded carefully, your invitation is unexpected. We appreciate the gesture, but humanity has just fought off an invasion by your forces. You'll understand if we're hesitant to rush into an alliance. Xyra nodded, her form rippling in what might have been a sign of respect. Of course, Admiral Chen. We propose a series of diplomatic meetings to address your concerns and negotiate terms acceptable to all parties. As the gravity of the situation settled over the room, the world leaders realized they stood at a crossroads of cosmic proportions. The decisions made in the coming days would shape not just the future of humanity, but potentially the entire galaxy. Dr. Tanaka, unable to contain himself, whispered excitedly to Chen, do you think they'll let me study their technology? Chen suppressed a smile. One step at a time, Doctor. We've got a lot of work ahead of us. Indeed, as Earth prepared to take its first steps onto the galactic stage, one thing was certain. The universe would never be the same again. 1 year after the failed invasion of Earth, the planet buzzed with an energy unlike anything in human history. The skyline of every major city now featured gleaming spires of alien architecture, embassies from 100 worlds eager to establish relations with the newest galactic power. In New York, the newly constructed United Earth headquarters towered over the East River, its design a striking blend of human ingenuity and alien aesthetics. Inside the Grand Assembly Hall, representatives from every nation on Earth gathered for a historic session. Admiral Sarah Chen, now Earth's ambassador to the Galactic Confederation, stood at the podium. Her uniform, adorned with new insignia representing both Earth and the Confederation, gleamed under the lights. My fellow Earthlings, Chen began, her voice carrying the weight of the past year's experiences. Today marks a new chapter in human history. Our world stands united as never before, ready to take its place among the stars. The assembly hall erupted in applause. Chen allowed herself a small smile before continuing. In the past year, we've made remarkable progress. Our scientists, led by the brilliant Dr. Tanaka, have begun to unravel the mysteries of faster-than-light travel. Our diplomats have established peaceful relations with 17 alien civilizations, and our defense forces have incorporated Confederation technology, ensuring Earth remains secure in this new era. As if on cue, a holographic display flickered to life behind Chen, showing Earth's new defense fleet, sleek ships, combining the best of human and alien technology, orbited the planet. Among them floated several Confederation vessels, no longer invaders, but allies. In the front row, Dr. Akira Tanaka beamed with pride. The past year had been the most exciting of his life, each day bringing new discoveries and challenges. His nanobot technology, now enhanced with alien insights, had revolutionized fields from medicine to space exploration. Chen's voice took on a more serious tone. But our journey is far from over. As we look to the stars, we must remember the lessons of our past. Our strength lies not in conquest, but in cooperation. Our curiosity must be tempered with wisdom, and our power must always be guided by compassion. She paused, letting her words sink in. We've been given an unprecedented opportunity to shape the future of not just our world, but our entire galaxy. The choices we make today will echo through the cosmos for generations to come. In orbit above Earth, aboard the Confederation diplomatic ship Stellar Harmony, Admiral Zixthar watched the proceedings with a mix of emotions. In the year since his surrender, he had become Earth's strongest advocate within the Confederation, arguing passionately for human inclusion in galactic affairs. They've come so far in such a short time, Zixthar mused to his aide, Kral. To think, we once laughed at their tiny fleet. Kral nodded, his antennae twitching with amusement. It seems the joke was on us, Admiral. But perhaps it's better this way. The galaxy feels livelier with humans in it. Back in the assembly hall, Chen was concluding her speech. As we stand on the threshold of this new era, let us move forward not with fear or arrogance, but with hope and humility. The universe is vast and full of wonders, and now, at last, we have the chance to explore it. She raised her hand in a gesture that encompassed not just the hall, but the entire planet. To the stars, humanity, our greatest adventure is just beginning. The assembly hall shook with thunderous applause. As Chen stepped down from the podium, she was immediately surrounded by well-wishers and dignitaries. But her eyes sought out one person in particular. Dr. Tanaka made his way through the crowd, his face split by an enormous grin. Magnificent speech, Admiral. Or should I say, Ambassador. Chen chuckled. Sarah will do, Akira. We've been through too much together for formalities. Tanaka's eyes twinkled with excitement. Indeed we have. And speaking of which, I have exciting news. The latest tests on the FTL drive were successful. We could be ready for our first interstellar flight within months. Chen's eyebrows rose. That soon? The Confederation said it would take years for us to develop FTL capabilities. Well, Tanaka said with a mischievous grin. They also said our nanobot technology was impossible. I think we've proven that humans have a knack for doing the impossible. As they laughed together, both Chen and Tanaka felt the weight of the future on their shoulders. But it was a weight they welcomed, for it came with the promise of unlimited possibilities. Outside, the sun set on a changed Earth. But for humanity, a new dawn was just beginning. A dawn that would illuminate not just one world, but countless stars across the vast expanse of the galaxy. The universe would never be the same, and humanity was ready for whatever challenges and wonders awaited them among the stars.